you are trying to build an emergency fund, save for big purchases, or invest in your future, we've got you covered. Hi, welcome back to B3Inspire. Today's topic is all about saving money the smart way. And joining us is Edem, our financial expert, coach, and an author, who is here today to share with us practical strategies to help us save effectively no matter your income level. We are excited to have you again. This is episode 4.
It is.
Yay!
Yeah. And so far it's been great. So I'm looking forward to this one, which is quite important. Building up, so they talk about building precepts upon precepts.
That's right.
I think we are building and we're getting there, and each one is just invaluable. So
Amazing. And before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on your biggest saving challenge, or perhaps maybe your goal. Okay, let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is an emergency fund and why is it important?
Okay. Emergency fund is money set aside for unexpected expenses. Let's put it this way. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. So
I like that analogy.
if it does happen, and life happens, and we talked about
Yes.
this before, and if and when it happens, you should be prepared. And emergency fund puts you in that position to be able to have a recourse to a means of finance cushion, whereby if there's a financial shock, it will not shock you because you would have been prepared
You've got a
for it.
buffer.
Exactly. And so emergency fund is so much important that it avoids you going into debt or using unnecessary sort of credit that you shouldn't actually use because you had the funds in place. And let me just make this example. A client of mine that we had a bespoke financial plan in place.
Okay.
And by the time of making the plan, we talked about the various aspects of it. He said that, I'm not ready to put into place an income protection and also all the insurances. But I said, that's fine. Every plan is as good as how flexible it can be.
Okay.
So we said, okay, it's a work in progress. The plan is a progress. So that's the key thing. So where we started from was to make sure that we had the emergency fund in place. And here's the main point. Whilst we did all of that, and suddenly her 65-year-old auntie passed, right?
Okay.
And this auntie, she behaves as if she's 40-year-old. So it was totally unexpected that such a person will pass. Nobody thought it would happen at the time when it happened. And the client is they call the oldest cousin in the family. So she basically had the responsibility of making sure that things are in place and she have the right finances and pull on other resources because this auntie did not have any children of her own, and so she had to take care of everything. But because we had that emergency fund as a starter, so she basically had the emergency fund, really make sure that if you don't have the insurance, let's have the emergency fund really built in, really solidified. And because we had that, when that happened, it meant that she did not have to go and borrow money. She had that really in place to ensure that she can take care of the expenses, the funeral expenses that came about. And it was quite a total shock. And so talking about shock, it can happen. But when it does happen, you should be prepared about it. And this is what it's for.
Amazing. So how much should the average person have in an emergency fund?
So there is a few things that you could actually put in place. So it depends on where you are in your financial management horizon. So if you're quite new to finance and to financial management, I'll say for us a beginner, look at maybe 400 to 800 pounds or consider the most expensive expenditure within your budget. So for example, if your mortgage or your rent is the most expensive expenditure, make sure you have an equivalent of that put aside as an emergency fund. Then you've got the intermediary level, and remember this all sort of guide really. So somebody who's quite intermediate and being able to build a level of good financial management, we say 3 to 6 times your monthly expenditure. And others can go really quite sort of a bit further, whereby they're more the advanced sort of really financial management. They they do up to 12 months worth of their monthly expenditure. So you quite have to look at it quite sort of bespoke, really, according to your situation.
Now, Edem, I know there are so many savings accounts out there. Which ones should one consider or think of maybe putting the money into it? Let's say for the emergency account, if you want it in a savings account.
Yeah, so there's so many out there. I mean, when you go, I think UK is so much blessed with so many providers out there, more than 250 providers out there that you can really choose from. So again, starting from our most important foundation emergency fund, utilize high interest yielding account. You could be, I mean, I can't at the moment, I can't say specifically because what happens is that their interest rate changes and the providers become quite competitive.
Okay.
But then, and I'm going to say this with a caveat that as we speak at the moment, one of the best ones perhaps anyone could utilize is a bank called the Monument Bank.
Monument Bank.
Monument Bank. They offer some really good rates for emergency funds or instant access account. But again, remember, it's as at the point of recording. Please make sure you do your research. If you don't know how to do it, just get the help of a professional to look into the market to guide you as to what the best one is. But because things change over time, time to the horizon. Then we're looking at sort of the short-term goals. Again, I know we address the emergency fund, which sometimes is part of the short-term, but aside sort of the emergency fund, anything for the short-term, you can utilize things like the notice deposit account. You could use maybe premium bonds as well.
Premium bonds.
With the SS NSI. And the good thing about premium bonds that is tax free. Some people, so amazingly, if people don't know, then it was just ISA. No. The premium bonds is tax free, which is quite helpful. And then anything for the medium term, again, you can also utilize notice deposit account and also some of the instant access or fixed interest accounts. When I say fixed interest, again, you can maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 year account. Normally, the longer you sort of fix it in there, the better interest that you do get. Again, the same for the notice deposit account. Then the long term, you really, I'm talking about retirement, talking about for the real estate and deposit for the house. You could also utilize stock and shares ISA. Which is really good to utilize. Then we've got various what we call the retirement investment accounts. You can also utilize that as well. Now, for not forgetting our children, very important, because they are for the very long term.
Totally, I mean, it's biblical, isn't it? The righteous leave inheritance for his children's children. So maybe it goes more about our grandchildren.
And sometimes if you have more than 2 or 3, 4, if you have 4 generations,
that's right. What a blessing.
Then what a blessing. But at least we have the standard, which is for children's children. So talking about the children, you can have junior ISAs. You can utilize it. You can even utilize a junior SIP or junior pension.
Yes,
very important. And if you do have a child trust fund, people have it. Again, we will not discount it, but it has been discontinued. So if you have it, you have been discontinued. So at the moment, if you have it with the provider, it will still be earning return for you, but it's really worth a review to assess if it's still tracking for the right objective, is giving you the right returns. Because for where we are in terms of the investment horizon, there are so many products out there for junior ISAs and for junior pensions that potentially could give you better returns for whatever maybe the child transfers will give you. But again, you wouldn't know until you do the review.
Does that mean if somebody has a child trust fund, they can actually close the account and move it into an ISA if they consider that's more beneficial?
Yes, absolutely. You can do that. So when you do move it, you cannot move it partially. If you are moving it from a child trust fund to a junior ISA, it has by the current regulations, all of it has to move. Move into the junior ISA, and then when it moves over, it's always because of the child trust fund. It's what we call the bare trust. it cannot be utilized or touched until the child is 18-year old. It can only be transferred. So you can't basically sell down the unit into cash and then so I'm going to take the cash and then put it into a junior asset. It doesn't work that way. It can't work that way. Hence the reason why all of it has to be transferred and not partially. But yes, it can be done.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
How can someone maximize their savings interest?
What you can do is make sure that you do your research. Do your research into the market, into high yielding interest account. And again, the way to do that, there's various platforms you can utilize. You've got platform like Raisin. You can utilize it. You've got Flagstone as well. You can also utilize that as well. Money Savings Expert tends to do some really good recommendations for high yielding interest accounts. Some really good names that tend to come up. Again, we mentioned Monument, Atom Bank, Chase, JP Morgan Bank. So there's various ones out there. I'm not basically promoting them. I'm just saying that these are possibilities. But at the time that we're talking, these are some of the names that really comes up. But make sure you do your research. Get the professional to help you, to be able to guide you if you don't know how to, and then how to also to maximize. One of the ways that any account that you do subscribe to, make sure is a non-fee paying account.
Non-fee
paying deposit account, so that at least it doesn't eat into your returns or eat into your interest. And then we shouldn't really forget the lifetime ISA. Very important. Lifetime ISAs is just one of the good things that has come out of the government in terms of giving back to investors or savers, and because apart from the fact that it can be invested and you can get returns on it, the government will also give you a relief on it. So and it can only be
expand it. When you say government give you a relief, what does that mean?
So what that means is that when you deposit money into the lifetime ISA, the government will give you like a top it up for you. With 25% of whatever money that you put it in there.
Fantastic. That's free money.
Free money.
Who doesn't want it?
So HMRC is your richest uncle that you didn't know about.
Your richest uncle. I love that.
It's your richest uncle that you didn't know about. But when you do know the kind of products and the kind of access and the kind of resources that are available to you, some of these reliefs, it goes a long way to how much you can grow your money. And if you don't know, you can do the research or get a professional to help you. So lifetime ISA is really good to utilize. And when you do use the lifetime ISA, please bear in mind that it can only be used for two things: to buy a house or for retirement purposes. The government will not allow you to use for anything else. If you do, they will basically charge you, or charging means that they're going to take back any relief that they've basically given you.
Of course.
And you end up really much sort of back to where you were.
Excellent. How insightful. Thank you for sharing all of this. And listeners, if you have found this video really helpful, we would like to remind you, like it, share with someone who needs to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe. Now, Edem, let's talk about saving goals. So what's the difference between short-term and long-term savings, and why does it matter?
Okay. So it's important because the whole thing about having a goal means that you've got something that you're working towards. And so if you have a goal, it means, and again, the goal, whatever it may be, it ensures that you position yourself to get to that goal, because somebody said that without a goal, there's no goal.
So, without a goal, there's no goal. I like that.
So in order for you to reach that goal, there must be a goal. So, but we've got short term, which is so basically short term basically means anything between 0 to 12 months.
Okay, so it's like a bit like your emergency fund.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So the emergency fund. So the short term, anything 0 to 12 months. That's what we classify as short term. It's an emergency fund for vacations, for the down payments you can use for that. Then before we get to the long term, let's also put one in there for the medium term. So the medium term, we're talking about anything between the 1 year and then the 5 years. Yeah.
1 year,
So
5
between
years.
1 year
Okay.
and 5 years, that's medium term. And medium term, it could be things of like for the wedding, as an example. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Even during that same time, even if you wanted to buy a house,
A
some people
house,
can even save within for 5 years to buy a house. So
Yeah.
medium term is that kind of crossover into the long term. But then the long term, we're talking about anything 5 year plus.
Maybe paying for saving towards your child's education.
Exactly. And then also
Okay.
for retirement.
Okay, retirement.
Retirement, the same for retirement. But again, so, and I mentioned about the crossover for a deposit for a house. The 5 year sort of, or the long term can also savings goal can also be used for that as well.
Wow. How does someone balance saving for both short-term and long-term goals at the same time?
Yeah, so the easiest way to do this is think about or use what we call the 3 bucket system. So the
three bucket system.
Yeah, the three
Okay.
bucket system.
What's that?
Yeah. So the 3 bucket system is pretty much think about having 3 buckets whereby you
Okay.
prioritize your savings according to the 3 compartmentalization. So the first bucket is your priority. With the priority, and then probably I know by now you're probably shouting it out.
Oh, it's emergency fund.
There we go. Yeah. I know you're shouting it too.
Yes.
So yeah, so the first bucket is the priority, so emergency fund
Yes.
is a given. Then the second bucket is for the medium term, and that's we're talking about medium term saving goals. So the medium term is normally called the sinking fund. So for specific expenses. Specific expenses thinking about, so think like vacation, think like the wedding, and for sort of important sort of bills. Then we go for the long term. So the next bucket, which is the third bucket, is for the long term. So that we're talking about things like the retirement. And about maybe
real estate.
Real estate, exactly. Yeah, and also putting money away for the long term, whatever it may be. And for there as well, you could also be looking at the investing for the long term. Again, we'll dig a bit more into that. So index fund, maybe investment bonds, and
that's the next episode, actually.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so yeah, that's what. So the 3 buckets. So priorities, the sinking fund, and the longer term investments.
And what that means is, at the end of the month, just for argument's sake, you've been paid, and you're doing all of this at the same time. So you've got the 3 buckets.
Yeah.
This amount goes into my first bucket, which is the priority bucket.
That's right.
Second to my sinking bucket.
Correct.
And third goes into the long-term investment.
Exactly. It means that you leave nothing unturned, and then you're able to touch the various important aspects of your expenses. And making sure that by having those buckets as well, you're addressing both the short, medium, and long term.
Amazing. Thank you. Being consistent when it comes to saving. What are some of the ways that people could either automate their savings or do this without a struggle? Because I know it's hard. Guys, you're not alone, okay? I know it's hard.
Yeah. So so you've got to be aware of the fact that it starts with what is going on the inside.
That's right.
Very important. So I mean, the psychology that comes with saving cannot be undermined.
Oh,
and
reminds me of a book, The Psychology of Money.
Another book as well is The Money Makeover.
The Money Makeover is a good one, actually.
Well. And let me just throw one in there. The richest man in Babylon.
I'm loving this.
Some books coming out. But it all starts from what is on the inside. That's what I mean. So you have got to really have the mindset right.
Sure.
And also have your priorities really set out really well, and then the willpower. And you ask me, I mean, you always talk about this, or they talk about this. What do you mean by this? What it means is that your why has to be really strong.
Simon Sinek. That's what
that book. Yeah. You're there. I'll say another book. Yeah, to go more. Your why has to be really strong. You got to be intentional about saving, about wanting to deposit. Why do I want to? I want to deposit. Why do I want to save money? Why do I want to grow my money? Why do I want to be different from everybody else? I mean, they always say that, and you always hear they say that, oh, the rich always get rich and the poor always get rich. Have you ever asked yourself why? So the why has to be the foremost and the foundational to everything else before we go to any kind of practical strategies or anything else.
Yeah.
So so that's the key, the first and principal thing to really grab. What is my why?
I mean, you just think about it, isn't it, Edem? You just think, what is it that the rich are doing that we are not doing? What is it? What is the rich doing? And that's what we want to find out. It's all this education, all these things we're talking about here, is what they are doing that's making them rich.
I remember when we started with the financial literacy series, and one of the misconceptions is that, oh, I need to earn more money in order for me to be wealthy, and we address that. That is quite a misconception.
It's a myth.
It's a myth. Because sometimes you need money to make money.
Yeah.
But even before that, you've got to have a goal. You've got to have a vision.
That's right.
You've got to have a why.
Drive.
There's got to be
something.
A passion.
That's right. I love that. Passion. That passion, yes.
There has to be.
And also educate yourself, which is what, if you are watching this, you are educating yourself. And if you've not watched those previous videos, it will be on the screen. Make sure to go and watch them, because it will definitely give you those knowledge and those insight that you need.
Yeah, exactly. So the driving force. I mean,
right.
we could go on and on, but anyway, you get the point.
Love it.
So once you've got that really sorted and you've got your mind really set up really well, then you put all of the practical stuff in place, like automating your savings. So before anything happens, remember,
pay yourself first.
When we talked about budgeting, we stressed it, and it became a theme for that series.
Right.
And
for
it's
B3Inspire.
Yeah,
pay yourself first.
And it's come back again. You see, there we go. It's come back again that you got to pay. So pay yourself first. So automate your savings before anything else. Then another thing that you could do as well is that use the Roundup savings app. So utilize digital technology or technology in short to help you to reach that goal. So Plum, Emma, Hyperjar, again, we mentioned it in the previous series. So use that to Moneybox is also a good one as well. Utilize these apps to round up your savings, and so anything that is spare goes into saving. You'll be saving naturally, automatically, without even realizing it. And then again, treating your savings like a bill. Yeah.
Okay.
Treating your savings
I like that
like
mindset.
a bill. Yeah.
Because of course,
when you owe, for example, anybody money, companies money, or even the providers of credit, when before they'll give you money, the first thing they will ask you is that when are you paid? They will ask you for your payday.
And they want to get in quick.
They want you to ask your payday. When is your next payday? Even for your insurances, when is it direct debit? They will ask you when do you get paid? And because they want to make sure that the moment you get paid,
they take their money.
So why don't you also make sure you treat your savings as a bill? Because you remember, again, you pay yourself first. And remember, we talked about the detailed individual, the kind of the type of budgeting system whereby you if you're quite detailed, use that strategy. So if you're quite detailed, it means that every single penny is accounted for, and it comes back to it as well. So make sure that you treat your savings like a bill, and then again, sometimes often sort of brushed aside or overlooked. If you have an employer who has a savings scheme, take advantage of it. If they've got a share purchase scheme, take advantage of it. You'll be saving and also investing naturally without even realizing it. And so all of this is quite automated. So before the money hits your bank account, the money goes into that we call it as this employer saving, or sometimes employer match saving scheme. So they take out that, sometimes maximum you could put in there, or most of the time maximum you could put in there £250, anytime £250. So they take the £250. And also sometimes as well, most of the time, the bonus scheme is tax free. So they take that out, put it into that saver scheme or the share purchase scheme, and then your pension and everything else. And then the money that goes into your bank account is what you have available for your maintenance and for everything essentials that comes with
Yeah.
it. So naturally, automatically,
that means you are paying less tax already, but also you're maximizing that benefit. I mean, I wonder how many people have actually checked whether their employers have got this offer. If you haven't, please go and check,
yeah,
speak to your HR and find out what are some of these benefits and maximize it.
absolutely. And when you do use these schemes, again, you are thinking about position yourself for the long term, position yourself to grow your money, position yourself to sometimes the strategies that comes with money management and savings and investment is not as tricky or like a mountain or anything that we think. It's just really quite principled and just based fully following and putting yourself in the position to be able to take advantage of some of the things that will work for you. And anybody can do that.
Great advice. Thank you. Are there any common mistakes that people make when they are trying to automate their savings?
Yeah, so there's a few actually.
Sadly.
There's a few. And in fact, before I go to anything that is really sort of running through my head right now, I can't overemphasize some of the mistake. One of chief is not paying yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
not pay yourself first. You want to pay everybody else, and that. Why don't you, the money that you work for? Why don't you make sure that you're also a beneficiary of
That's
it?
right.
So yeah,
that's right. Okay.
and sometimes forgetting to increase their savings as their income increases.
Ooh.
So if you forget to, if you're so sometimes say, okay, £250 what I want to save every single month,
Yeah.
and then you get an increase in your income, and so extra money, holiday.
Sounds like what I do. Oops.
So yeah, if you set yourself a saving goal for 3 years and you review your savings, and anytime your income increases, you review your savings and make sure that £250 becomes £300 every single month. It means that you are really decreasing your you're going to reach your goal quicker. Again, so it's principle, just making sure review as you go along, and then also keeping your money in an easily accessible savings account. Sometimes the people can make that mistake as well, which is really not a good thing really, because what happens is that if you do that, it means that anytime that you're not able to hold yourself together.
See that handbag, see that shoe, I need it. It becomes emergency.
It becomes everything else. And another mistake as well that people make is not having an accountability partner.
Okay.
So where you're struggling, just trying to do your own. If you need somebody to come alongside you, please just go for it. And also want to mention the importance of maybe getting the help of a professional.
That's right.
If you do require that sort of help to do that. So not having these things in place basically means that sometimes you could find yourself wanting, not reaching your goal quicker, or in the amount of time set which you need to.
And it can cost you more. So I have benefited so much from Edem's knowledge, and just think our previous recording at the set, we had a conversation which then brought to light something that could have probably cost me and my children in the future. And just by having that expert advice, saved me something that could have cost me like hundreds of thousands of pounds. So I will highly, highly recommend that. Like, seek professional advice, because sometimes you think you are saving money, but because I'm going to pay the professional, but then it's going to cost you more. So cheap things are expensive, as they say. So if you need to contact Edem, all his details or his company details are all on the video below. Reach out to an expert. Excellent. You say like one more final savings tip that you would like to give to our listeners?
I would say start small and start from where you are, and really don't really, I want to say this, okay, we're going to come to a bit more on it, but try your best to avoid return on emotions.
Ooh, that's huge.
Okay,
Return on emotions.
return on
Expand
emotion.
that.
So people want to buy things for the fact that they are emotionally attached to it. They want to purchase
Mm.
things because they are emotionally attached to it. Because if I don't buy it, it means that, oh, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Because it means that the
Mm.
world is going to turn upside down.
Oh, is
And
that
then,
what it's
and then by the time you realize that, you
saying?
figure, oh, this thing has cost me about £1,000. And if I would have put that £1,000
Mm.
into a high saving interest account, it means that the return on my investment
That's right.
is much
ROI.
greater than the return on my emotions. So, so, please
Oh gosh, I
try
needed them in my house, so that's all I can say right now.
avoid return on emotions and go for return on investment. Please,
Wow.
delayed gratification. That's all
Delayed
that it means.
gratification.
Delayed gratification goes a long way to save you money. Some at the moment you might not like it. At the moment it feels
Mm.
like, why am I denying myself when everybody else is doing it? Why am I denying myself when I have the money? Why not? I mean, but then 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, 5 years
Mhm.
down, and it comes quick. You realize that by denying yourself,
Yeah.
you would have amassed a lot of compounding interest. Something that we're going to come about, I could talk about a bit more later. And the compound interest that would have come on it would just be immense, and it comes with consistency. All of this. So avoid return on emotions. Go for return on
I
investment.
love that.
Be consistent where you are. Start small. It doesn't matter where you are. Don't live to please anyone. Stay in your lane. Life really, it's not about pleasing anyone. Please, the reason why you are you is because somebody else cannot be you.
That's
So just
right.
be you, the best of you, and do what is right for yourself.
I love that. Wow. Avoid return on emotions and prioritize return on investment.
Absolutely.
I need that slogan on my vision board. I think I need to see it every single morning. Great. Let's recap on today's episode. So, emergency fund should be over 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Short-term and long-term savings should be planned separately as well. And Edem mentioned that having the three buckets would help you. Use the best savings account for your specific need and automate your savings to make it effortless. What's next? Ooh, episode 5. So we are talking all about investing. So investing 101,
Absolutely.
where and how to start. We will cover how to grow your money through stocks, bonds, and index funds. Before we go, like this episode if you have found it helpful, subscribe for more financial wisdom, enjoy the series, and drop a comment of what is your biggest savings goal. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, build your foundation, believe in your potential, and become unstoppable.